It's funny, this thing about art being a portal to enter different dimensions. I was thinking about it earlier, looking at this drawing here. Check it out. So forget about the subject matter for a second. Just don't even look at the drawing. Okay, they're two nude women, but just think about it conceptually. This drawing was created in a moment where there were present George Grosz, who drew on that sheet that we're looking at. But she was certainly there. She was posing for him, and he was there because he drew it, and the drawing is there, and I'm here looking at it, and you're there somewhere else following me. The time that it was captured is a different time than now, and now is a different time than then. But that whole now is what makes it exist. Yeah, look at this one. This is like a sketch. Yeah, like you would do a sketch in pencil. You do it quickly, and you can do it more or less detailed. Like this one is a little more detailed here, less detailed here. This one is less detailed here, but then becomes more detailed as you go into the face. There's a whole story between these two, that they were married, but that there was like some weird abuse thing going on, and sex trios in power, but literally sex as well, with them or other women in George Grosz's entourage. And he painted them and drew them, and there's a whole psychological play of things happening. On top of it, these drawings are the same year, 1927. So between this character posing in the studio, here drawn separately, and this character, you know who? With her little pups. We're looking at it and going in and out of these realities and these moments. That's how I read the quantum. Different moments happen at the same time in different times. And therefore that there's a big now. And that now is really scary. Because 1927 in Germany, when Hitler started to take power, and eventually was elected in 1933, and it gave rise to the whole explosion of Europe and the first iteration of what Europe had become. And now we're here again, and just as worried. So how's that for traveling different times, different dimensions? These are things that I think about. You gotta set your intention. I really have to tell this story about the different dimensions. This is crazy. This is crazy beautiful. Look at this here. This is in my gallery. This is in this space. This is space, physical space, happening in this space and time. It's happening right now. So this one here this is a ceiling, 11th century, probably 7th to 11th century mosque, Andalusia in Córdoba. The ceiling is actually all three-dimensional. Like each of these little alcoves are called muqarnas. If you look at them, they're actually all in 3D. You can penetrate your eye inside as you look at them. This one actually has holes and a dimension because it's ceramic and glass. But in fact, the whole structure itself is a ceiling. Do you see how it's concave, so pointing out, pointing up? See it now, right? See how you go in the third dimension. Actually, the ceiling extends that way and extends that way. This is like a segment of it, but you can really see the whole concave like this. And that exists and was built at a certain time, 1,000 years ago. But in fact, we're looking at it on a flat, non-textured at all, or at least it has its own texture, but it has its own characteristic. It's actually completely flat. You can see the thickness of it. Yet here we were, and going in a different space and time because we were in the 11th century. Then when you start, with everything it represents, Al-Tawhid and one of the pillars of Islam, etc., etc., etc. And then I fall on this just earlier. For those of us who are fortunate to know art history, think Mondrian, but think Van Fleven, think Léger, the grid. You can see exactly the characters of the 1954 Le Constructeur on there. And you can jump it back down to Mondrian and down to Cubism, down to Picasso, but in fact, it's only chance because we give it context. Because all it is by ceiling of my gallery. How's that for having traveled from architecture here, 11th century mosque or 8th century mosque, or I don't know when it was, but it's like Cordoba or something. How many years ago? And here and now, and today at a specific moment, but yet traveling back into a whole other avenue, all describes the universe, but by describing it, by looking at it, by engaging with it, makes it real somehow. But in the quantum, what's real and what's not, and what's there and what's here and now, and the blur that's going on. So this is the moment we're at right now, jumping into the immaterial. The here and now doesn't mean anything anymore. It certainly no longer will mean tomorrow what it meant yesterday. The only way to reconcile it is through a collective consciousness, or something that does not live in space and time.